all of a sudden, our small startup in Farmington Hills, Michigan, was being sued by a Chinese company. So it all started when I was a young kid, and my love of cars started from there, growing up in the Metro Detroit area. Huge culture, a lot of car events happening every weekend, and anyone and everyone who is something to do with the automotive industry is there. At 8 years old, I remember going to the Woodward Dream Cruise with my father. For those that don't know, the Woodward Avenue is the first paved road in America, kind of where car culture began, one could argue, simultaneously with California car culture starting. There were street races. Manufacturers would bring their cars out there, race against the locals, and their built-up hot rods to test things. So Woodward's always been the center of Detroit car culture. With that, going to the Dream Cruise is something that everybody does. Millions of people converge on this one street for 10 miles and enjoy the cars, the sights, the sounds, the smells of hot rods, muscle cars, everything modern, vintage, antique-y in between. So one year when we were down at Woodward Dream Cruise, I was about 8 years old. And my father and I were walking around, and on a side street, we came across a 1963 Ford Falcon Futura, which happened to be his first car. And it was the exact same spec. 260 V8, 3-speed, white, hardtop. He immediately fell in love. I'm sitting here watching my dad turn into a child again. Everything with him lit up. He was a kid in a candy store, and all he did was sit around for an hour waiting for this owner to come back, and he wanted to make an offer on it. The guy came back, he got his phone number, and all I remember is the next day we were going to the bank, getting a whole bunch of money out, and my father and I went down and purchased this vehicle. And that started my intro into how to work on a car. We got this car back, and it was in pretty decent shape, needed a little odds and ends here, but my dad wanted to go through the engine, go through the suspension, go through the body, and fix everything up. And being a good father as he was, he needed a couple extra hands in the garage to hold the flashlight, and that was me. So from there, I learned how to work on cars with him. He showed me how to do everything from an oil change to brake jobs, your first basic things. And then we started working more, getting deeper into the engine, valve adjustments, pulling the heads to change head gaskets, everything like that. And that was the cliff that I fell off of. Eventually, I wanted anything and everything to do with cars. I wanted to be surrounded by cars. At the time when I was a kid, I was actually afraid of loud noises. Loud airplanes and things like that would spook me. But it didn't happen with cars. I would hear the roar of a V8 going through cherry bomb mufflers, and I loved it. It gave me goosebumps in a good way. I wasn't anxious, I was excited. Growing up after that, getting to be about 15, 16, my formative years, getting a license, and I was handed down a 1990 Mercury Cougar. I had that car for all of 1 week before I was tearing into it. At the time, Mustangs were pretty big, and it shared the same engine with the V6 Mustang, the Ford 3.8. And from there, I wanted to upgrade my 3.8. Any person in their right mind would have swapped a V8 into it and gone from there, but I didn't know any better, and I wanted to work with what I had. So a week into having the car, I had it down to the short block. I bought race heads, a race cam, a new intake, and was immediately installing that. And this is in the dead of winter. And I didn't care. I needed to get this car built. And at the time, there was no YouTube. I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have any video guides. I had a Haynes manual and a prayer to figure out how to work on this car. So tearing it down, I took a lot of pictures. And of course, you had to get those developed because I didn't even have a digital camera at the time to guide myself in reinstalling. I built that car back up, and it was the talk of my high school. Everybody else had the basic Toyota Camrys, Honda Accords. My vehicle was loud, it had cam lope, and it was only a V6, and people couldn't understand how this car moved the way it did for being such a big body Ford. Moving past that, I moved into some other cars later on, enjoyed some, a Ford Contour, got into Hondas at some point, had some Civic SIs, really enjoyed them. And at that time, I'm going to school for biomedical engineering up in Detroit. I wanted to become a doctor or become something into the biomedical field. My whole life was encompassed at this time with college and my full-time career. But again, in this pursuit of education and paying for everything that I needed to pay for, I always knew that cars were the thing. I didn't have any time after work or after school, but I still made time on Friday and Saturday nights to go down to Woodward Avenue. I wanted to go see the street races. Eventually, Woodward Avenue would get broken up by the police. People wanted everyone to leave around 10 or 11 o'clock, so then we go down to a place called French Road, and that's where the underground street racing happened in Detroit. People would pull up with their trailers, unload their drag-prepped Fox body Mustangs and Camaros, and the street would be prepped. You'd see guys pulling wheels in the middle of the night. And eventually, these would break up around 2 or 3 in the morning. It was either a gunshot that broke up the crowd, or it was just time to go home because the lights were coming. I always enjoyed everything. The smell of race fuel, the smell of burning tires. I couldn't get enough of it. But I needed to further my career. I was starting a family, and I needed to concentrate on that. So I actually, unrelated to biomedical engineering, I fell into a business development role in the retail space. And I was actually very successful with that. I was with that company for about 12 years. And work was always a means to an end for me. I used work to pay for my passions. At that time, I didn't care what car or motorcycle I owned. I wanted it to go fast, and I wanted to enjoy every single aspect of it. Track days, street racing, autocross, anything and everything that could do with a vehicle going fast, I was doing it. In this, I surrounded myself with a community of like-minded individuals. In Detroit, there's a car event every day, or a motorcycle event every day, that you can go and you can shake hands with the automotive technician who's working at a dealership, or a person who's the head of design for one of the large manufacturers. It's amazing. And you're all working together, and you're just there enjoying the things that you share. So through this network, I met a lot of interesting individuals. Some were very quirky, but some were also very successful. And in Detroit, there's a lot of automotive industry startups. A lot of people have the connections to the OEMs. Either they worked for them or they know someone who worked for them. And I actually got connected at the time with an individual who was starting a powertrain conversion company for DeLoreans. So these DeLoreans, he wanted to engineer the whole entire drop-in kit. It was a conversion that put 3.5 EcoBoosts out of a Ford Raptor into a DeLorean, mated to a Porsche transmission. It was an incredible concept, and I was immediately enthralled with the idea. I wanted to be part of it. I loved this man's vision, and he was an amazing character who just wanted to surround himself with wonderful individuals. And so happens I might have been one of those individuals because he brought me in and invited me to become an unpaid intern at his company. And at this time, I was wrestling with the aspect of my current position in business development if I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to go into automotive. That's where my passion was. And this opportunity came, and I took it. With the support of my family and friends, I made the proverbial leap into the automotive industry and became an unpaid intern at the age of 38. So the founder of this company, this DeLorean was his baby. He had owned this DeLorean since college. He had made a lot of friends and a lot of connections through it. And he wanted to see this be as successful as possible, and I wanted to help him with that. And as a person with incredible car knowledge but not having industry knowledge, I was there to soak up everything. I was a sponge. I helped out with routing pipes. I helped out with figuring out tuning problems. I helped out with suspension and steering, and his small team, each person had their own expertise, and they were working for an OEM at the time where I was able to learn so much information about the industry and about how a vehicle actually worked. I took that in for a year. We were making a lot of progress. We got the car running. It sounded like a monster. We were bringing it around to shows, Detroit Concours, and it was just blowing people's minds. Around that time, we experienced a bit of a hiccup. So this company was founded on a trademark that was expired in the 80s, and it was called Legend Industries. And this is a company that, in the 80s, developed twin-turbo kits for the DeLoreans at the time. And there was actually a partnership with DeLorean to eventually include these on production vehicles. So with this trademark expiration, the founder of the company now, Legend Industries, bought up the trademark and was able to use the logo from the time. Turns out, there was a multinational company out of China that was using a logo very similar. So when the trademark was published, their lawyer came across that trademark and immediately saw the correlation. And all of a sudden, our small startup in Farmington Hills, Michigan, was being sued by a Chinese company. We didn't have the funds to take this on with our team of attorneys, because our team of attorneys included our founder looking at ChatGPT and figuring out how to be an attorney. And actually, a great story that came out of this was he was very successful. He learned how to be a lawyer from the internet. And again, that's a great point. You can learn anything from the internet. And he took on this company. Eventually, the company settled after about a year and a half, and the trademark infringement suit was dropped. But it wasn't without some damage. It really kind of shook the company up, and it sort of put us back. Now, we got the prototype running, and everything was well, but it sort of took the wind out of our sails. The company eventually faltered, and I'm still great friends with the entire company, and I know that the car is still there, and it's just in the point of being finished, but we had to move on from there. And I knew during this whole time with my internship, I was looking for an actual career in the automotive industry. And I spoke about this amazing community in Detroit, and I was able to utilize my network, and I actually, out of the blue, had someone call me and ask me if I was interested in a job. And this couldn't have come at a better time. I was at the point there where I have already applied for over 100 positions in the automotive industry, anything from sales to technical. So I was trying to utilize my biomedical engineering degree and skill set into the automotive field. When I got this call, it was from an old friend, a gentleman who has always been my car guy friend since high school by the name of Tom. Tom called me and said, "Hey, I've got this job that you might be interested in at a tire manufacturer." This tire manufacturer was specifically looking for a car guy. It was for an account manager role, working with the OEMs as our customers, and they needed someone who didn't just look at numbers. They needed somebody who knew about vehicles, sales trends, how things were going to pan out in the industry, why certain people picked certain trims of cars. And that was me. I interviewed for this job. It was kind of a whirlwind of a week where I had this first interview, I had a second interview, and at the end of the second interview, they said, "So when can you start?" I was offered the job. I was finally in the automotive industry. I threw out a ridiculous number. They took it, and now I am part of the automotive industry. I've been with that company for coming up on a year now, and in that, I've had amazing experiences, which were exactly what I was looking for. We are developing experimental compounds with OEMs. We are including ourselves in different sides of the market, and recently I experienced on-track data collection. I worked with our team of engineering, and I was at Pit Race, and we went to Mid-Ohio and VIR, and we were testing different compounds. And there's nothing like knowing you're at work when you're in a car, hucking it into a corner at a four-wheel drift at 120 miles an hour, and being able to call that your career. I've found happiness, I found my passion, and I'm able to utilize it in the career that I've meant to be in. So my ultimate message is, at the end of the day, it's never too late. You can become an intern at 38 and change your career and be successful.
If you get a ticket, the first thing you should do is text a picture of it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. You'll be facing costly fines, risks of suspension, possible jail time, points on your license, higher insurance premiums, and a lot of bad things that they can help you to avoid. You can also find them at the link in the description below, but the Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm with brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they've got attorneys everywhere, and that's what's most important, because a local attorney will know exactly how the local laws work, know the people who are in charge, and get you the best outcome possible. So text a picture of your ticket to 305-305 or click the link in the description below to fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.